My PC is churning away at something, so to help combat horrible background sound, the microphone is back in my hand. Hello, welcome back to another bookish video. This is actually going to follow the same format as my last book haul, because I have some lovely footage of York to show you, but also a little bit of an explanation of where I went last weekend, like a week and a bit ago. I went to the Jericho Writers York Festival of Writing. I don't have any footage of this because it was very full on, pretty non-stop. If you are someone who is able to do this and record a vlog at the same time, you'd be a superhuman. Genuinely, when I got home, I had 2 days of lazing on the sofa playing Ooblets on my Switch because I had no energy for anything else. It was a lot. So at this, I got 2 agent one-to-ones, which was interesting. And really cool because you never get feedback from agents normally unless they're interested in going the next step and asking for a full manuscript. Also, there were lots of talks, so every day I got to hear from a lot of very talented, interesting people. I tried to mix it up, so I did some talks that were about writing, so I did one about writing side characters and writing action, and then I mixed that in with businessy stuff, so I did one about Amazon. That was really interesting. That was really cool. Part of the festival, they had this ongoing bookshop, so they sold books by people they know that they're affiliated with. So there's like a mix of fiction and non-fiction, with the non-fiction tending to be stuff on writing. Makes sense. So while I was there, this is what I picked up. Story Genius: How to Use Brain Science to Go Beyond Outlining and Write a Riveting Novel. I already have a lot of books on writing, and I've also listened to a lot of lectures and talks on writing, so I was really trying to find something I didn't already have or know about. So this seemed to offer something a little bit different. Yep, very interested in seeing what this one has to offer. Next, we have a book about side characters by the person who did the lecture about side characters. Her name was Sasha Black. She was fantastic. She does a podcast apparently, and I am definitely going to check out that podcast. 8 steps to side characters. So hopefully this will expand on the stuff she talked about in the lecture. I think it was definitely one of the best lectures I saw while I was there. Anything else to say about Sasha Black? So I'm definitely going to look more into her and her writing and what she's up to. She was definitely a really interesting person to listen to. And very knowledgeable. But also knowledgeable, but could also use comparisons from pop culture. You know, I really like when writing pulls examples from the most obvious of places. You know, sometimes it doesn't help to bring an example from a book that maybe not everyone's read, but there's a good chance most people in the audience have watched Harry Potter or The Matrix. I love that she kept referencing The Matrix. So I feel like when writers do that, they're also showing that, hey, some things are for entertainment. They still need to follow certain structures, and ideally they will cover certain tropes, but sometimes media and writing is for entertainment, and that is cool. That's fine. Also see Brandon Sanderson when he references Star Wars. Yes, because most of us have seen Star Wars, so that is very helpful. Then the last one from the York Writers Bookshop was Reading Like a Writer, a guide for people who love books and for those who want to write them, by Francine Prose. Again, I thought this was something that covers a topic I don't really have, and seeing as I'm here talking about books quite a lot, it seemed doubly interesting to me, even though I did an English Lit A-level. That was quite a while ago, so hopefully this kind of will help me go a bit deeper into the books I'm reading, so we'll see. After my 3 days at the writing event, I decided that while I was in York, I might as well tag on an extra day, because it's been a long time since I've seen York. So I stayed in a shepherd's hut, which is a kind of fun, weird, glamping-ish experience in the middle of the city. Had a nice couple of drinks and some food by myself, reading a book. And then the next day, I walked around York, which maybe not the best idea, because then I was really tired, on top of already being really tired. But I was amazed by how many bookshops were in York. I don't think I found these last time we went. I think I easily went in 5 or 6, and there were 3 on Google Maps that said they were closed on Mondays, so that's good going. Yeah, totally unexpected. So if you really love books and you want to check out some independent shops, York is the place to go. There was a fantastic mix of like secondhand shops, shops that focus on LGBTQ stuff. There was one that I didn't quite understand the vibe of, because I nearly didn't go in thinking it was a kids bookshop, but it wasn't. I guess it was just someone who decided to open up a bookshop. That's how these things work. So on my travels around York, to be honest, by that point, I was pretty tired, so maybe I actually wasn't as into the book buying as I normally would be. I think I probably could have stretched this out into 2 or 3 days worth of time, because on a good day I could spend hours, at least an hour in a good old bookshop. But add on to the fact that I did a huge haul last month, I wasn't gearing up to buy a huge amount, so I was looking for things that I'd not seen before, that were a little bit different. So the first one I got was British Library, Menace of the Machine, The Rise of AI in Classic Science Fiction. Assembled with pieces by sci-fi giants such as Isaac Asimov and Brian W. Aldiss. So this is a collection of stories about AI. But I really liked the cover style, and part of the reason I got this is that I'm kind of using it as a physical bookmark, if that makes sense, because there was a collection of these and I was really interested in them. Like there was one about monsters, and I nearly went for that one, but I thought if I pick one and if I like it, then it means I know what collections to go for next. There was other books that I nearly did the same with, but they're huge books and I found it really difficult to pick. But it was like collections of ghost stories, collections of black fantasy stories, collections of African mythologies, collections of Irish mythologies, and I was like, well, I have a little bit of a collection of myths and fairy tales and mythologies, but I also don't tend to sit down and read them all that much, so that was the thing stopping me making the purchase. But I did look up the books afterwards, and I have bookmarked them on my phone so I can find them again. So maybe another time. So the next book I got was The Fairy Tellers by Nicholas Juba. And the concept of this one was really interesting. It's, again, kind of looking at fairy tales, but it's looking at the authors of these original fairy tales and the lives they were leading at the time. And I don't think I've seen anything do that before. I suppose because there's so many fairy tales that kind of almost come out of the ether or are started by one author, like Hans Christian Andersen, but then just grow into something else. So our focus is always on the story, but I've never seen anything that focuses on the individuals that write them. I think we also have I can't remember the name at the moment, but the person who wrote the original Beauty and the Beast. We might have something about, I think there was one about like the writer of the original Aladdin. Sounds interesting. Not seen anything like it before. So yeah, that was going on the pile. And finally, 2, 3, and 4 of 20th Century Boys. I didn't particularly want to buy all of these massive books in York because it meant I had to lug them around to town for the rest of the day and then lug them home. But these manga are really hard to get hold of at the moment. I've tried to get hold of Monster and that's proved impossible, so I moved on to 20th Century Boys, which is a little bit easier to find, but still kind of difficult. So the fact that they were there, one wasn't there, interestingly. Like, I do have it, I've read it, I'm not starting it too, don't worry. But seeing as they were there and I could do the 3 for 2 deal on manga, meant that I kind of felt like I had to grab them so that I have them. They're so big. So yeah, this one more felt like a ticking something off a list rather than discovering something new. But it did mean that by the time I was heading back on the train home, I did have a big old stack of books. I had 8 books in total. And that's everything. A bit of a quicker haul video, I think, this time. I hope you enjoy the footage of York, no matter how brief it is. Again, I didn't really have the energy or time to do proper vlogs, but hopefully you enjoy the little bit I have to offer. Thank you for joining me. My next video, I promise, will not be another haul, although I know people like hauls. People love a good haul. But I will actually be talking about books I've read next time, so look forward to that. Thank you for watching. I've been Emma. These have been my books. I'll see you next time. Bye.